What's up my friends, welcome back. First of all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I can't believe how fast this year passed and we had a lot of cool projects on this channel, right? Anyway, I'll try to make this as brief as possible, but also include as much information as I can about the projects that we had on this channel, about the future projects that we should expect for 2023, together with the New Year resolution. And we will also talk about the channel statistics for this year, about the subscribers, the countries that are watching my content, but also about the best project of 2022. And remember, there will be a Q&A, where I'll try to answer some questions that you have posted on my Patreon page or my community tab. So guys, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, let's see how many subscribers we had this year. We went from 280k to 465k, so almost double the subscriber amount. But a small parenthesis here, because more subscribers doesn't always mean that the channel is going better, because despite my effort to improve each video, the views count is getting lower and lower, and that's due to the YouTube algorithm and selective content. But anyway, 50% of my viewers are from India, 14% are from United States, and 4% from Germany. And the list goes on and on, as you can see here. The last year we had a total of 9 million views, which is just a little bit higher than the previous year, so I guess this is still an improvement, but a slow improvement. And the video that got most views for 2022 was the coil gun project. And I have to say that I do like that project, but the comment section was a little bit mixed. Because you see, I've made that video for learning purposes, and I even dedicated more than 1 minute of that video to talk about safety and how that project might get dangerous. Anyway, that video hit almost 1 million views, so more than 10% of the total views of my channel are coming from that video. And that's quite interesting, right? Because here we have yet another example that when I make a video about learning, about science, and something more educational, it doesn't even get to 10,000 views. But when I make something possible dangerous or more clickbaity, or more, I don't know, I would say less educational and more sensational, YouTube will recommend it a lot. So it's very hard for me to make a project that I like and not the project that YouTubes want me to make. Okay, so this year we had a total of 36 videos on this channel. So I've made 15 videos less than the previous year. And that's because I had to take a lot of days off to move to this new workshop. I also had my wedding, I've made a trip to Colombia and so on. But even so, I did my best to post new content. And then my favorite project for 2022 was, surprise surprise, it was not the coil gun video, but the handheld multimeter. Because you see, I've been working on such a project for years now, and I'm still improving it. Because having a handheld multimeter to measure with both hands, without extra wires, or a huge multimeter on your table is very important for me. So that's why I'm very happy that I finally made a first prototype that includes a voltage meter, also resistance, capacitance, inductance, current, dial mode, frequency, and who knows what other feature I will add in the future, and all inside of such a small PCB. That's why I like this project. And we also had a few new patrons this year. And for all these supporters, I would like to give a special thank you. Because you see, giving financial support to somebody just because you like his content is not that easy. So thank you very much for this great support. With your help, I'm able to buy more modules and prepare future projects. And talking about future projects, let me tell you a few ideas that I have, so maybe you could comment below if you want to see such content or not. My first idea is to start a new series with scientific people from the past, and I would like to start with my favorite, Michael Faraday. Like that you learn something new about the past and our discoveries. And then another idea that I have is to make some sort of mailbag video, because I receive hundreds of small modules each month, and I don't always get to show that modules in my videos. So would it be nice to make a dedicated video just to open my mail and show you what I receive? Interesting? And by the way, the Facebook community is also getting bigger with more than 30,000 followers, so make sure that you also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more content. And finally, for the New Year resolution, well, I've already achieved the last year resolution from 2021, and that was to get this bigger workshop, because this room is 4 times bigger than my old workshop. But there's still a lot to do, and right now this workshop is a mess because I need a lot more time to make everything that I want. For example, I've made this big table, but I still have to make the light, the power cables and so on, and also a space for the machines like the drill, the compressor and so on. So when I'll have time, I'll make that as well. So now for the 2023 resolution, I want to make a great metal CNC machine, and not a simple and cheap CNC router, because I really want to make aluminum or even steel parts with a CNC machine. And now that I have the space, that's my resolution for 2023. A CNC machine that is capable to route aluminum. Okay guys, so let's start with the Q&A. Okay, so the first two questions are from Patreon, and the first one goes like this. Hi there, I'm fascinated by the amount of capacitors in the circuits. I understand that they stabilize things, but I'm not clear on how to choose the right ones. Could you talk a little bit about choosing capacitors and when you should use them? Well, to answer these questions, maybe I should make a separate video, but usually you have to check the capacitor value, the tolerance, the current rating, the temperature, and also maybe the dielectric material and the life expectancy. Because usually, for example, if you are using a switch mode power supply, the current spikes and the voltage spikes are very big. So obviously you need a big capacitor to store the amount of energy that you need. But if you want to use it as a filter for digital signals of only 3.3 or maybe 5 volts, you have to use low values of just nanofarads, for example. So just by selecting the voltage and the current rates, you have to select the capacitor as well. Obviously for power supplies we use big capacitors, and for signals and filtering small capacitors. Also have in mind that if you're working with a power supply of maybe 40 volts output, you can't use the capacitors that only go to 15 or 10 volts. You have to use 50 volts or 100 volts to make sure that it won't blow up. Also you have to make sure that you use the correct polarity, because the electrolytic capacitors have polarity and the others don't. Also have in mind the temperature, because if the capacitor will get too hot, it might explode. And also the life expectancy, because for example in my case, when I make a project with Arduino that will only work for like 2 hours each day or even less, I don't care about that. But when you make a power supply that might be powered on the entire day, you have to take into consideration also the life expectancy. So check the datasheet of each capacitor, and according to that select your capacitor more or less. So the most important part is the current rating and the voltage that you want to store, and then the dielectric material, the tolerance, and so on, the life expectancy and so on. Okay, so let's go to the next question. I repair a lot of old amplifiers, and most of what I do is a bit basic. What books or online courses would you recommend for future knowledge, for further my knowledge in this particular field? Well, first of all, I don't really know anything about audio amplifiers, just a little bit, and audio in general is not my specialty. And as for the books, I don't really recommend books because I don't use them anymore. I mean, the last book that I read, it was like years ago, because nowadays you can find anything that you need online. Just search the exact part that you need, and also you have different websites so you can compare and fact check each part that you find. So usually I don't recommend books because I don't have any books about, even when I was in my university years, I never used books. Always I went to a website and searched my information and compare with different websites to make sure that I'm getting the real one. So I can't really recommend you any book, so sorry for that. Okay, we have a few questions. I'm not sure if I will be able to answer all of them, but let's start. Out of all the projects on your channel, which one you find the hardest to make? Which project is the best in your channel that you would recommend to others to watch? And last, which project you gave the most satisfied? Which projects gave you the most satisfied end result? Hope to see the answers. Well, which one you find the hardest to make? For me, the hardest project to make, I think, was the brushed drone, but that was not from this year. It was like 1 year back, because I think with that project I had more than 5 versions, and each version has a 2.1, a 3.2, and I think the final version is a 5.3 version, because I had to make a lot of changes. I had a lot of problems to control brushed motors at the same time that I was receiving signals, because the brushed motors are controlled with some sort of H-bridge or a MOSFET, and that creates a lot of noise, and that also made a lot of noise for the radio connection. So I had a lot of problems with that. So I think that was the project that most time I spent with that project. And second, which project is the best in your channel and you would recommend others to make? The best project on my channel, well, in my opinion, I think is the ESC. That's the project that I'm most proud of, because basically the final PCB works almost exactly as a commercial ESC. So basically I've made a project that could be even sold online, because the final end result was almost working the same as a commercial one. So that's the project that I'm most proud of. And third, which project gave you the most satisfied end result? It will be once again the ESC project. I think that is the best. Okay, let's go to the next question. What is your favorite electronics project you have worked on? Once again is the same. And what is something that you wished you have learned earlier when you first started designing and building electronics? Well, actually, when I started working with electronics, I also started with 3D printing, with designing circuits, also programming in Python, Java, and Arduino, all at the same time. But there was a part that I haven't done in the past, and I've just started like 3 years back, and that was related with PHP and CSS programming, which is basically making websites, because nowadays there are a lot of apps and also a lot of websites that are related with electronics. So you have the electronic part, which is an Arduino maybe connected to a server using a Wi-Fi connection, and then you have the platform, the visual platform, which is the app or the website. And nowadays you use a lot that. So I wish I would have started with IoT and designing websites earlier in my days. So nowadays I would have a lot of more knowledge about how to create apps and how to make these IoT things work a lot better. So that's something that I wish I've learned earlier in my days. Let's go to the next question. Okay, this is the same. This is not a question. Love your videos. Thank you very much. Are you an electronics engineer or a hobbyist or both? Actually, I'm both. I am an engineer. Actually, I do have my diploma here. Maybe later I will show it to you because right now this is a mess. And yes, I'm also a hobbyist. Okay, this is another question. Can we build something from old computer CPUs? I had the same question like years back because I had a lot of like garbage CPUs that I found. And no, I don't think that you can make something because that CPU, the pinout of that CPU is specially designed for a special motherboard and is specially made to work as a CPU. It has its cache memory, it has its internal memories and so on. So basically all you can do with the CPU is to make a computer, and if you want to use it for anything else, you can use it like a microcontroller. So no, I don't think that you can make something with a CPU rather than making a PC if you want. Okay, here we have another question. Hey there, Happy New Year in advance. Thank you very much, and the same for you. Could you tell us what is the weightage of your audience from which countries? I already told you that in this video. I think it was 17 from India, 14% from the United States, 4 from Germany, and then I show you the entire list. And how is the life post-wedding? It's very good. I'm very happy. Okay, did your machine for photos boot works very well? It worked, but just for a very short time because it's broken and the printer got out. So basically what I had to do is to take the printer out and just tell the people, if you want to make a photo, just take a photo with your phone and print it on that and leave it in the album. So it was not an electronic project, but it was a problem with the entire frame because I've used glue and some screws, and the printer just got broken. Anyway, it worked pretty much as it should. Okay, how could I learn Arduino programming efficiently and faster? Well, I think the best way is to join my course of Arduino, but that is in Spanish. It's very difficult for me to translate that course because it's made without a script. So translating that, it will be very difficult for me. But anyway, just find another course that is in English, look at the reviews, and if it has good reviews, just join it, and like that you can learn from scratch how to program Arduino. Okay, the next question. I have a JBL TLX18 and the left speaker got destroyed by a flood. Sorry to hear that. I only have the right speaker, and is there an amplifier that can drive only one speaker with 100 watts of power and with Bluetooth? Yes, there are a lot of modules. They are not that good because, I mean, they are just Chinese clones, but you can find on AliExpress, just write 100 watts amplifier and you could find a bunch of those boards, but usually they are quite big, so I'm not sure how big is your speaker. You could check my video about Bluetooth speakers, and in the description I place a few different amplifiers that you could try if you want. When are you going to make the microphone project? And there is even a reply. No, there's not a reply. Yes, about that project, well, I'm still working on it. I have to make a case because I first wanted to make it out of metal, but the metal I have, it can be soldered because I thought it was brass. I thought it was brass, but instead of that, it's just some sort of different alloy, and I can't solder it. So I'll make it half 3D printed and half metal to avoid the outside interference. and I hope that I will have it for 2023. Stay tuned for that. Sorry for making you wait so much. What is your country? Well, I live in Spain. I'm originally from Transylvania, and that's Romania, and that's it. I live in Spain, in Barcelona. Why when you make projects you always use Arduino? Why not other microcontrollers than the Arduino? Actually, I've used a lot of ESP. I've made like 4 or 5 projects with ESP, also the STM32. I've tried the Raspberry Pi a few times, but basically I use Arduino all the time because that's the microcontroller that I most use, and I know how to use it with registers directly with C++ and not using the made libraries. So when I want to make something complicated, I use Arduino because I know how to use it. Okay, so for the next, and I think this is the last question, what is the direction of electricity? If so, then how is this possible? And I think this question is related with a video that Veritasiv made a few months back, telling you that the energy and the electricity is not as we usually used to think about it, but actually is going through the medium and not through the wire. Anyway, I don't think that I'm the person who could answer this question, so please watch that video because he made a lot of experiments about that and you should believe him. And that's it. I don't think that I'm the person to answer this question. And these were all the questions for now, because I don't know, but there was only 24 questions, and most of these were not even questions, just requests. I don't know why the communities is not that engaging lately, and I don't know if that is because of YouTube or because my content. Anyway, I hope that you like this video and also all the projects that I had in 2022. And once again, Happy New Year, and see you in 2023 with a lot more projects to make. Thanks again, and see you later, guys.